crucial moment in our country's history and of the world at large, where we must, as a people, make the choices that will guarantee peace, prosperity, and a secure future for our children. Trying times such as we're witnessing on a global scale can, if properly managed, be converted into transformational movements that allow both for the achievement of a fundamental national reset and a major leap forward in our nation's affairs. The words that I hear from many Nigerians from various walks of life assure me that as a people, guided by the right leadership coalition, we are determined not to allow tough times to lead us into debilitating pessimism. Neither are we ready to forget the gains of the past 6 decades of our independent statehood. Instead, we share a strong desire to seize the moment and strive for a wholesome recalibration that enables us to build upward and higher in unity and unison. That is the Nigerian spirit that the world has seen displayed intermittently and which combines with an uncommon fortitude that allow us to triumph over adversity, over enemy, and over discontent. It is our reason for hope. It is also partly why, like my fellow travelers, some of whom are here with us in this hall, I am proudly Nigerian and will always remain one. My own journey into public life has taught me that while we must never as a people be complacent about our circumstances, there is also no noble project of national development and advancement that is beyond our grasp when we act as one with a clear vision, courage of conviction, and the requisite commitment. I began my journey into the public sphere as a student leader at the University of Lagos, at a time in our national history when we were all fired by genuine and well-founded hopes of the heights to which we could soar as a leading actor in global African and world affairs. It was the time in my personal journey when the roots of my unshakable faith were birthed, that our future as a nation and our place in the global community of nations resides in the consolidation of our unity and national cohesion. For it is out of unity and cohesion that we have always found the strength to transcend all barriers, defend our freedom and dignity, scale new heights, and provide leadership for others, especially in Africa. Beyond my early forays into the public sphere as a student leader, my abiding faith in the oneness of our country has been further reinforced by all my subsequent engagements in national affairs as a scholar, civil society voice and institution builder, community and political organizer with an unapologetic pan-Nigerian and pan-African outlook, tireless advocate for human rights and democratic governance, as a 2-term governor, a federal cabinet minister, the founding coordinator of the Progressive Governors Forum, and 2-term chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum. I have been privileged to witness firsthand the underlying commitment and sense of solidarity which Nigerians from all parts of our country share about the promise of our fatherland. And it has been my singular honor to have been an active part at various times with other committed compatriots from various walks of life, laboring with determination towards rapid and sustained national progress. Dear compatriots, it is in the spirit of this abiding faith in our country and the promise of its unfinished greatness that I stand before you today in total humility and with all sense of responsibility to solemnly declare to all within our party and Nigerians at large my decision to accept my name to be put forward for consideration by the All Progressive Congress leadership and membership as our party's standard bearer in the upcoming contest for a successor to our leader, President Muhammadu Buhari. This is not a decision which I have taken lightly. Indeed, to arrive at this point, I carried out a long and deep self-introspection with the help of my wife, Bisi, and other family members, my friends, my political associates and professional colleagues. I have also traversed the length and breadth of our country to consult and explore with our esteemed elder statesmen and women, traditional rulers, a cross-section of party leaders, and rank and file members of our great party, and various non-partisan leaders of thought and opinion. I embarked on this outreach visit neither with any prior assumptions about what they would yield, nor with any sense of personal entitlement. However, after a careful consideration of where we are as a nation, and the many perspectives which are emerging about the challenges, old and new, which we must tackle and transcend, I am convinced that my entry into the race will offer our members and Nigerians the opportunity to examine competing visions for national rebirth in the best interest of our country. It is on the foundation of a clear vision of our national future, accompanied by a carefully thought out program of action, that I present my candidature, fully convinced on the basis of what I have experienced, heard, and seen about the demands of the times and the aspirations of our people. It is my conviction that the agenda that I am proposing for our country is one which will find favor with all Progressive Congress members and win resounding traction with the generality of Nigerians. Here then is my motivating testament and confession. I am a patriot, born in this country in the course of the first decade of our country's independence. And I stake a bold claim to say that I am a full-blooded child of Nigeria. I grew up, as did many of my generation, socialized into the ideals of a united and virile nation. In my lifetime, I have witnessed some heartwarming moments of nation and state building that will make any citizen anywhere immeasurably proud. But I have also seen some truly challenging days in our journey of nationhood, which have tested our collective resolve and demanded the exercise of considerable political savvy by our leaders over the years. I have taken as key lessons from the admixture of high and low points we have experienced as a country, that when and where we are charitable to one another and allow our shared humanity, innate spirit of solidarity, hard work, perseverance, and underlying patriotism to prevail, we always succeed in overcoming and thriving through adversity. Fellow Nigerians, that is why on this fourth day in the month of May 2022, before this august assemblage of Nigerians from all walks of life, and those watching from all corners of this beautiful land and beyond, I can boldly and confidently say to our party members and the generality of Nigerians, let us, together, as one people, dig deep into our history and our hearts to revive hope and do the work of faith that will positively re-energize our homes and our lives for the common and the greater good. Despair is easy to spread. Hope can be daunting to sustain, and faith can be severely shaken. But whilst the night may be long, the dawn must come, and it always does. That is why Nigeria is worth fighting and living for. I offer myself as the leadership figure who is willing and primed to work with you, beloved compatriots, to launch and drive the hard work of surmounting difficult times, fostering trust, and building bridges with a view to carrying us in unity, equity, and justice into our new dawn of progress and prosperity. Hope, such as I offer with my candidature, is premised on a shared vision on which we can all agree and for which we collectively strive, of a nation that is more confidently and uncompromisingly at one with itself, serving as home for all of us, regardless of ethnicity, class, age, gender, disability, region, or religion. It is a vision of a nation of multiple diversities in which each and every one of us can recognize ourselves in its fabric and workings as equal stakeholders and co-constructors, complete with all the rights, all the freedoms, and all the duties provided under the Constitution for citizens. The idea and ideal of Nigeria has home to all of us who are its children is one which we can all rally around as a starting point for the unfinished work of national greatness that must be taken to its next phase. To give full effect to this, concrete programs of action will be launched in priority areas that will allow for a revamping of the credibility of the Nigerian state, the promotion and fulfillment of an enhanced social contract, and the rebirth of the national identity. Programmatically, as the standard bearer of the All Progressives Congress, I will be leading the implementation of a holistic and integrated response to the multifaceted security crisis confronting us. To this end, we can expect the retooling of our armed forces, intelligence agencies, and our border guards will be pursued in tandem with an overhaul of our policing system and the phasing in of bold, universal social policies that will enable us decisively tackle poverty and upgrade human capital and security. In this perspective, the deliberate expansion of employment opportunities, youth entrepreneurship, skills development, and innovation, support to the weak and vulnerable, such as we have done in Ekiti State for the elderly with Owo Arugbo and Onje Arugbo, and women's socio-economic empowerment will be treated as just one dimension of our comprehensive response to the costly security crisis that have destabilized us as a nation, as will the pursuit of broad welfare policies that are embedded into a new state-society bargain and the empowerment of all our citizens. The adoption of broad socioeconomic measures that enhance our capacity to fight insecurity must be done at the same time as investment in reinforcing the deterrent capacity of the state through its armed forces, security agencies, and policing authorities. Authority and legitimacy, coupled with deterrence and rapid response, go hand in hand, just as we must better design and interface economic policies with broad social objectives and goals of political inclusivity towards a well-defined outcome, namely the sustained peace, stability, and progress of our country. But let there be no doubt, for the economy to serve broader social and political purposes that enhance human life and state security, stem poverty, and promote national prosperity, my agenda for Nigeria encompasses attention to questions of productivity, diversification, domestic value addition, investment and incentives for research, development, and innovation, and the expansion of domestic revenue mobilization, amongst others. Considerable work is already ongoing in the upgrading and expansion of our infrastructure, and we have the current APC government to thank for that. But one of my prime objectives will be to accelerate this, both through public investment and partnership with the private sector, while simultaneously ensuring that we enforce accountability and get much greater value for money. By the same token, a major rescue and investment program for the education sector, the health system, the civil service, and the local government system will be launched to reorient each of them for the task of overall national development, progress, and prosperity. Each of these domains can benefit much more from a deliberate and systematic deployment of digital technologies as appropriate to their context. The opportunities will be followed through as an integral part of our program of national rebirth. Compatriots, I fully understand that we cannot secure our prosperity without ensuring that our agricultural sector is able to deliver self-sufficiency in critical food markets, feed our efforts at agro-allied industrialization, and thus meaningfully enable the transformation of the unemployed into gainful employment, reinvigorate our rural areas, foster the coordinated expansion of commodity exchanges, and boost the flow of foreign exchange into the economy. We will prioritize the sector for the multiple benefits it can bring to the agenda of national prosperity and transformation that we'll be pursuing with unrelenting vigor. As part of this commitment, issues of streamlined and transparent access to agricultural finance and the expanded adoption of agricultural technology by farming populations will rank high in the priority areas for our focus. No vision of national prosperity, however impeccable, or program of national transformation, however comprehensive, can deliver the outcomes desired without attention to the planning system of government writ large. We must build on recent successes in restoring our national planning system and our statistical capacity in order to open new forward-looking approaches to development management that is research and data-driven. This will form an integral part of the new e-learning that we'll be bringing to governance as a whole, driven by a philosophy of efficient service delivery, the enthronement of a civic culture, and the encouragement of an empowered citizenry to engage with public affairs understanding that it is the repository of power. As part of this commitment, a holistic approach to decentralization will be embraced and institutionalized so that government and its services are brought closer to our people. Our program of decentralization will also feed into the goals of a stronger, more united and stable Nigeria. Outcomes which are not only good for our domestic prospects, but which will also benefit West Africa, the rest of the African continent, and a troubled international multilateral system. Dear friends and compatriots, I have, for this occasion, shared just a few snippets of what I hope will be the core of the Nigeria agenda under my watch. I embark on this journey with a determination to play my part to the end. I do so buoyed by your many good wishes, freely expressed, and your prayers fervently offered. Let me commend in this context other compatriots who have already thrown their hats in the presidential ring and those who are still going to throw their hat in the ring for their courage and commitment. I want to commit before you and all Nigerians that I will, in the course of this campaign, adhere to the highest standards of decorum, decency, and respect, which Nigerians expect of their leaders. As we go along, I will have occasion to share even greater details about my vision for our national prosperity and progress, and the program underpinning it without malice or ill will to anyone. Finally, I wish to pay tribute to His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari for his fatherly counsel all through the period that I have been privileged to work with him. I wish also to thank all our other living leaders who, in and out of office, continue quietly to labor for the unity and peace of our country. Above all, I want to thank all Nigerians, male and female, young and old, worker and retiree, who have refused to give up on the Nigerian dream. This is my pledge to you today, delivered before you and God. Together, we shall bring that dream to full fruition in our lifetime. And it will blossom to the pride of all Nigerians and the admiration of the world. And we shall return to our place as the pride of the black race and the pride of the world. Let us join hands to commence the work required towards completing Nigeria's unfinished greatness. I am ready. Are you? God bless you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
By starting what we call a name and shame policy. It's not enough for you to be convicted by a law court for gender-based violence. What we also insist on, because our people are more concerned about the shame done to them within their community than simple conviction in a law court, and we name and shame those who have been convicted and put this information right around their community. And when you know the way a typical Ekiti community is and the pride with which we exude character and integrity, that is something that has activated moral suasion, not just legal punishment. But beyond that, we have also taken steps against female genital mutilation, for example, by prohibiting it, expanding the law on violence against Persons Prohibition Act. But we've done this in Ekiti State. But in addition, in my capacity as the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, we declared in 2020, on June 10, 2020, we declared an emergency against sexual and gender-based violence in all the 36 states of the country. At the time we did this, only 14 states had signed up to the VAP Act in Nigeria. Today, 30 states have signed up to the VAP. In Ekiti State, we have a law, not just a policy, of insisting our parliament, the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly is there, and I must commend him and all members for that. They worked with us and passed a law granting 35% position, both appointment and elected. And that's a tough call in politics. It's still not where we want to be. It's still not parity with the population of women in the entire space, but it's a significant step. If you consider the difficulty our national parliament has had in putting the same law in place, you would understand how much distance we have traveled in Ekiti. We have not just put laws in place against sexual and gender-based violence, we've also put provisions in place in our healthcare system. We have a sexual assault referral center with all range of psychological, psychosocial, and medical support for victims of sexual assault and gender-based violence. But we also have a range of empowerment schemes, particularly for our women, because it's not enough to have laws in place. Gender violence, discrimination against women is often about power relations. Who has power? Who wants to control? And if you don't have the resources to live an independent means of existence, it's very difficult for you to just say, oh, if you're assaulted, walk away. Many women would like to walk away from violence, but they don't have the resources and the wherewithal to do that. And for us in Ekiti, we feel that empowering our women by providing them with alternative means of livelihood beyond dependence on their spouses is something that is critical to our own approach to this. So these are things that would be done given the opportunity as president of our country. And a lot of those things that we've done has now been escalated by virtue of the fact that I hold the position as chair of our government. And many of our states are putting up a law in that regard. Finally, you cannot talk about empowerment and about protection of women without education of our girl child. So for us in Ekiti, we are very passionate about that. We have not only free, but compulsory education for all the girls right up to senior secondary school free in our state. And we also have other means of supporting our women. You may be aware we have the female head of service. In my first term, I had 2 female deputy governors. This time around, because we're also sensitive about the elderly won the argument. And I got a deputy governor who is a representative of the elderly. But from what is happening, I see that the women folk have won the argument again. My successor in office, by God's grace, is going to have a female deputy governor. So we're on our way to having the first governor of Nigeria who is female in Ekiti State. Those are aspects of what we will do, policies, laws, as well as programs that will enable women to come into their own in our society. Ngozi, impunity, this is a serious issue. There are a number of dimensions to the impunity that are subsisting in our country. I always say something that as a leader, it's not enough to be competent, particularly in Nigeria. It's also not enough to be committed and compassionate. What is often lacking in Nigeria in the leadership is the courage to do that which is right. To take on forces who consider themselves principalities. People who believe that they are the owners of this country and then do whatever they like and believe that the law cannot catch up with them. We will not be arbitrary, but we would be very, very finicky about upholding the rule of law and access to justice for all Nigerians. I think that is the first thing to deal with on questions of impunity. But there are different levels of impunity. We need to also make sure that we do not leave our people with the temptation to do the wrong thing. Under the guise of religion, culture, and what have you. We must at all times be ceaseless advocates of citizens' rights, as well as responsibilities. Because when you have rights, you also have responsibilities as citizens in the country, and we must uphold that. Finally, impunity reigns because our judicial system is decrepit. The entire justice sector system in our country is problematic. If you look at the journey from investigation of a crime to conviction of a crime, you would have forgotten that the person actually committed the crime. And I think swift delivery of justice, access to justice, accountability in society are things that we need to pay significant attention to. And we need to also support our judicial officers so that we will not again tempt them to resort to other means of, misbehaving because the state has not taken on its own responsibility in terms of remuneration, in terms of support for the work of our judicial officers. Is decentralization another word for restructuring? Not exactly. One thing that I have seen in the course of being a politician is that words matter to our people. Symbols are important. Sometimes they tend to override substance. And restructuring means different things to different people in Nigeria. Decentralization that I talked about is an administrative mechanism that ensures that we have an inclusive society. And as I said in my speech, government moves nearer to the citizen. That is simply what decentralization is. It gives for greater accountability, it gives for greater access to the citizen, it promotes inclusiveness and ownership by all and sundry, and it does not create a them and us. 90% of Nigerians, they don't know where Abuja is. They've never been. They hear about it. That some people are in Abuja who take decisions on their behalf. Is that democracy? We have to ask ourselves that question. How many of us vote in an election in Nigeria, averaging 30%? And yet, well, let me start with the constitution of our party. The constitution of the All Progressives Congress says that mode of primary can either be direct, or indirect, or consensus. Now we have an electoral act that says for us to have consensus, all players must sign up to it. For me, really, yes, we have a lot of people who have expressed an interest, and I think we must commend the party for being so popular to attract this caliber of Nigerians offering their services to the country. I think for me, Nigerians, we also must feel the pulse of our people, the citizens of Nigeria. I believe from all my travels around the country over the last 1 month, I believe both inside our party and even outside the party, the sentiment will appear to be for anything but consensus. But that is because people want to have a say. And don't forget, we have a president who has been an advocate for bottom-up political practice. President Buhari is known for his passion for every member of the party having a say in the decision that affects all of them. So in that sense, I have no problem staking a claim to a primary process, whether it's indirect or direct. I don't have a problem with that, and my preference will be for it, because it will give us an opportunity to engage Nigerians, to share further details of the snippets I have just articulated in my agenda for Nigeria, and to give party members the opportunity to decide on the basis of the program that we have offered. And I'm reasonably confident that I'll carry the day in that way.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Perhaps to make this a lot easier and smoother and faster as well, we would adopt this next method.
That would enable us to reduce inter-agency rivalry, that would enable us to redefine our force posture, and then also respond appropriately in terms of equipment to use and in terms of the intelligence we gather. And in doing that, it is multi-level. It's not just federal, it's not just state, it's not just local. It should have to involve all elements of that. If that is what you are calling state police, I don't call it state police, I call it multi-level policing that would accommodate the range of needs in the country, because even our traditional rulers, they play a very central role, particularly in intelligence gathering. There's hardly any community you can get into in Nigeria, if the traditional intelligence facility is still effective, that they will not know when a non-resident has entered their community and what that non-resident is doing in the community. So you cannot just use a federal arrangement to get that. You need to embed whatever you're doing within that local context so that you can have a feedback mechanism from the traditional system into the state system and into the federal system. But that's not just what I'm saying. When I talk about integrated security system, I am saying that yes, we need to tackle the immediate challenge by organizing our security system in such a manner that they can combat banditry, kidnapping, insurgency in one fell swoop. But beyond that, I don't know of any terrorist, insurgent problem anywhere in the world that was solved only by force of arms. So when I talk about integrated features, I'm also talking about the comprehensive social response to this, because we all agree that there are sociological underpinnings to crime in our society. It's not just that people wake up and like to get into criminal activities and briganding. Some get into it out of desperation. Some get into it out of ignorance. So we need to tackle the forces of ignorance, the forces of hunger, the forces of inequality in our society, responsible for these broader challenges. As important as it is to tackle it militarily and via effective policing, that would have to go side by side, a comprehensive, if you like, Marshall reconstruction program. Let me be practical. The the Northeast, interestingly, has witnessed a significant reduction in insurgency. All commendation to the current administration. But we have also witnessed almost simultaneously an upsurge in the Northwest of criminal activities. And there seems to be an inextricable link between those responsible for Boko Haram and ISWA and those that are involved in banditry. So we need to have a clearer understanding of the security complex and then look at how they're fighting. Take the Northwest, huge savannas with communities much farther apart in plain lands. That tells you that you need forces that are more mobile, maybe with gunships mounted, because the insurgents themselves, the bandits, that's why they come in droves on motorcycles, because they cannot walk all those distances. And if you're going to respond to them, you need to respond to them not with tanks, but with more mobile vehicles that would enable you to take them on in broad daylight, because it's plain land most of the time. You also need better intelligence, but you most importantly need technology, drone technology, satellite technology, that will give you all the necessary information in order to tackle this thing. So that's, he also asked for APC government. I think you should commend APC governors, Mr. Rileka. If you have 4 APC governors that are running, I hope maybe more will even still come, we don't know. But I don't even know the 4 that you are referring to. but the important point to make is that we are genuinely concerned about building on the gains of this administration and addressing the gaps that we have seen. That's for me.
Thank you very much.
That maybe because I'm privy to some things that may not be easy to reveal publicly. The president of Nigeria, President Buhari, is really doing a lot on security. Yes, you are interested more in outcome rather than input, but there is a lot that the government is doing that the government cannot even talk about at times. However, there are also areas of impediments that we need to tackle quickly. If you ask me, and I've had cause to share some of this with our principal officers in the security sector, given my background that you spoke about. First, this country was able to recruit in an emergency manner. In 1967, it moved from an army of 10,000 to 250,000 within a space of 1 year. Today, there are all sorts of bureaucratic impediments that are not allowing us to expand the men and women that we have in the armed forces and in the police. And we need to do that quickly. If we're not able to do that in the shortest possible time by clearing away those bureaucratic impediments, we need to bring on board our reserve elements who are still on duty. Our soldiers, even in retirement, they are on duty. Major generals, colonels, brigadiers, they're all over the place. Many of them would love to serve and help tackle this problem in the shortest possible, because it's a problem of men. We don't have enough people in uniform. And even the ones we have, they are undertaking police duties. There is no single state in this country today where you don't have military officers and soldiers patrolling on internal security issues. That's not the job of a soldier. Yes, sometimes you may need soldiers to act in aid to civil authority, but those are exceptional circumstances. We need to populate our police. Egypt is not even half of our population. We're 200 million people. Egypt has 1 million policemen. In Nigeria, we have, well, we always tell ourselves we have 350,000 policemen. 150,000 amongst them are doing VIP duties. So not only do we have to expand and turn maybe our schools during vacation, because part of the problem they have is training facilities. We may have to turn our schools during vacation to training camps for those that we want to bring into these forces, and do accelerated training for them, so that we have more men in force. 2 is equipment. As I was talking about operating in a savannah environment, a new order of battle, a new force posture has to be developed by our military, because we are not fighting conventional war. What we're dealing with now is unconventional. More often than not, you don't even see the people that you're fighting. So you need to devise counter-insurgency, counter-terrorism measures that would go beyond infantry and other mainstream approaches to warfare. Because we are at war. What happened in Kaduna on the train is an indication that we need to take immediate measures. Around the suburb of Abuja, I hear some of these things are also beginning to happen, and we need to really watch it. And I believe the president, you know, is not a man of many words. He's taking so many steps that some of us may know and not be able to speak to, and is also preventing many dangers that they can also not come out and say, yesterday we foiled this particular attempt to destroy this particular community or city. It's ongoing, and it's a continuous work in progress. We must really have faith, but we must take adequate steps on intelligence, on having better recruitment, and on equipment in order to address the issue that you've spoken about. Electricity, for me, I think the solution is it's time to do away with a national grid. We now need to begin to look seriously in the direction of zonal or regional grids, or even micro and mini grids outside of the mainstream official national energy grid. It's the only way to solve this problem and focus our energy on renewable energy as well. If we don't do that, it's band-aid of bullet wounds. This national grid is completely broken, and fixing it every day crashes is a problem that we cannot easily tackle. On employment, I did speak to that, but for me, it is not the job of government to start focusing on employment. But it is our job to provide the enabling environment for private sector to thrive, for the agricultural sector to thrive, for the infrastructure sector that we have to create jobs. And there are so many jobs tied to these various critical segments of our economy. That is what we need to do. In addition to addressing questions of skills, because we talk about employment, majority of our young people don't have the requisite skills to do the job that is necessary to do. We need innovation, we need creativity, we need technology, we need skills, in addition to providing the enabling environment or to allow this to happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier, we are fast pressed for time, and so we have to move on quickly to the next part of this declaration, and this will involve endorsements by a few of the dignitaries who are here, goodwill messages. But I must first set the parameters to say this.
It's free. We thank all of you for coming, and we thank in particular Erelu for doing this job. Because, like the woman who came the other time, pointed to the program that Erelu is standing for the women folk. We believe our wife, our dear Erelu, will continue to be the pillar of success behind our son. Thank you very much.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.